Well, the massive problems with Obamacare continuing to take a serious toll on the president's approval ratings. Take a look at this. According to a brand new CBS poll, 37% of Americans say that the president is doing a good job, but the majority, 57%, think just the opposite. All of this coming as more and more of the president's fellow Democrats in Congress continue to break ranks with the White House and join forces with Republicans in calling for big changes to the Affordable Care Act. Charlie Hurt joins us. He's a columnist for the Washington Times. Charlie, good to see you.
Good to be with you, Greg.
In your column, you scold the president for being a lousy constitutional lawyer, and in fact, you accuse him of trampling on that esteemed document. Let me quote you, and we'll put it on the screen. Presidents do not get to write laws. They do not get to ignore laws they don't like or make up new ones on a whim. Presidents don't get to refuse to negotiate with Congress on financial matters because the president doesn't like what Congress has been urgently instructed to do by voters. Charlie, is he guilty of all those things?
Absolutely, Greg. And, you know, I think we saw 2 weeks ago, I guess it was on a Friday, the Friday before yesterday, where he came out and for the second time regarding Obamacare just simply declared that he was not going to enforce some part of the law. And actually, the first time he did it, he actually changed some of the language of the law. Well, you know, just because the law has your name on it doesn't mean that you can go in there and rewrite it as a president. He's not a king. He is a president. Congress makes the laws and they send them to him, and he can kill them if he veto them, or he can approve them. But what he has done in terms of going so much farther beyond any of the previous presidents, in terms of just declaring that he's not going to enforce certain laws like the Defense of Marriage Act.
Right.
You may not have liked that. I may not have liked that. But that doesn't allow you just to say, well, I'm not going to enforce it. That's a violation.
You cited his refusal to enforce the Defense of Marriage Act. You also say he ignored the law and declared that millions of undocumented workers suddenly became legal. He gutted welfare reform passed by Congress, signed by a Democratic president. Is he ruling by command, not constitutional process? And is he doing damage long term to the presidency and democracy?
Well, you know, I mean, good people hate to, for example, accuse someone of being a liar. It feels wrong to call somebody a liar. In the same vein, it feels wrong to accuse him of accuse anyone of violating or trampling on the Constitution. But when you look at all of this and you look at all of the examples, that is in black and white what he is doing. He is absolutely violating the Constitution. And to me, you know, we can sit here and debate about Obamacare and debate about the DREAM Act with the illegal immigrants. We can debate about all these. These are issues that are debatable. But what is not debatable is that you can't go outside the parameters of the Constitution. And if you do, then you are not upholding the Constitution as you pledged to do. You're violating it. And so, yes, I do think it's very serious. And I think that those principles are infinitely more serious than any of the particular issues about, you know, what I don't like about Obamacare.
Well, and what must have been disturbing to the White House, and I think it was shocking to a great many Americans, that our new Fox News poll found that a majority of Americans think the president knowingly lied about his promise to keep your health care plan. Do you think Obamacare would have passed if the public had understood back in 2010 that all those assurances about, you know, keeping your plan and keeping your doctor and lower premiums, not higher premiums, were blatantly untrue?
I absolutely. I believe that Obamacare would not have gotten through without those assurances, because they were the most important argument that the president and Democrats made. Because, you know, let us step back a minute and remember that a very large number of Americans had health care that they think is too expensive, and it is too expensive, but it was pretty good. And we have access to the greatest medicine and medical treatment in the world, in the history of mankind. So yes, it's expensive. It should be lower. There should be efficiencies that could be found. But the way he got it through was to say, look, if you like it, you're going to get to keep it. And I think if he hadn't been making that argument, it would have sounded like just a giant new welfare program where people who had health care realize, oh, well, I'm just going to have to pay for, I'm going to get worse care, and I'm going to have to start paying for someone else's health care.
Charlie Hurt, good to see you. Thanks very much for being with us.
Thanks, Greg.